Why, hello, campers. How are you on a fantastic Thursday night? Coming to you a little bit early tonight because there's a very good reason for it. Welcome, Charlie Clarke.
Hi.
Welcome, mate. Welcome to your very first interview. And I'm really proud to have you here. I'm really proud to have you as a part of the Campfire and share what you're doing at the moment. So if it's okay with you, Charlie, how are you, mate?
Good.
Yeah, brilliant. Hey, listen, I'm going to play your song first, if that's all right, because I want people to hear it, feel it, and see it. And then we'll have a quick chat, and then I'd love for you to play it live. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, here we go. So here we go. This is Charlie's song, Snowbird.
Trapped inside this cave for far too long. See those ugly fans so relieved. Put a lock on my door, ensure I don't escape. When will my freedom come again? When will my freedom come again? Oh, remember the days when we were free to walk this earth. Those days are gone. Stop living in the past. Stop living for today. You can't live in yesterday. We all took our freedom for granted. Never knew we would be taken from us. How much longer will this go on? When will my freedom come again? No, when will my freedom come again? Oh, many days when we were free to walk this earth, those days are gone. Stop living in the past, stop living for today. You can't live in yesterday.
Woo! That is epic. And I think that's the first time it's been played in an interview. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Charlie, how old are you?
11.
You're 11 years old. And this is the first song you've written?
Not the first song, but the first time I've recorded.
Brilliant. And it's a fantastic song, mate. I absolutely adore it. So tell me, what's that song about?
It was inspired by lockdown and how some people were locked down and then some people could fly freely and do whatever they want, like their lives were basically normal and that we all didn't know would be taken, from our freedom. We all know it could be taken from us, but we didn't know it could be done that way, and we never knew it would be done, and never knew a coronavirus or anything would come along and lock us down, and we wouldn't be in lockdown or not see friends for weeks and stuff like that. So we weren't really prepared, and that's what I'm really inspired by.
Yeah, brilliant. And I really appreciate that. So how has lockdown been for you?
Really tough. Really frustrating, and it just took a lot of toll on my mental health, and but it was really tough.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, man. And honestly, thank you so much for sharing that, because I think one of the greatest things you can do is actually share how you feel, and that I appreciate that. So is it okay if we share a little bit of the struggle? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you. So homeschool for you, how was that?
Really tough to focus. Can't really focus on any task. Just really hard to focus. Really don't have anyone around you or anything. You're not in physical, you're in virtual and on a screen all day. Hurts your eyes and makes your eyes hurt.
Yeah, brilliant. Hey, listen, again, thank you for sharing that. So you're currently going back to school for a little bit just to try and realign a little bit. And how good has that been for you?
It's made me focus more and have just a bit less on the screen because I didn't have to be fully on the screen because I could cut off and do it with the teachers there, so that helped a lot.
Brilliant. I love hearing that. So how are you now? How are you feeling about things now?
I feel more happier. I can enjoy myself more in this time, and I can find stuff more to do.
Brilliant. I love it. So can you share with me, Snowbird? Why is the song called Snowbird?
Well, it could be called many other things, but Snowbird came to mind because in one of the lines, if I see those snowbirds flying so freely, it's because it represents that we in Victoria were trapped in lockdown, weren't let out last year and this year when the other states could just roam around like nothing's ever happened. They couldn't go to other states, but basically their lives in their state was normal. And Snowbird really came from that.
Brilliant. So where would you like to see Snowbird go? What would you like to see happen with this song?
Well, everyone who writes a song wants it to get number one and the best ever. But I would like to just maybe have people hear it and stuff like that and enjoy it. Just I'll be happy with.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you feel that people might assimilate that, as in they might feel the same about things as you do?
Maybe not. But everyone feels different. Might be similar, might be the same, or exactly the same. Might be completely different. So that's just what people think and what people feel, and I hope that people feel fine and tough time, but sometimes you got to push through it.
Hey, I love that, Charlie, because that's right. It is a tough time at the moment, but we do have to push through and we have to keep supporting each other. And the fact that, out of this time that has been difficult for you, you've been able to share a song and express how you're feeling. And I think that's great, mate. So if something fantastic comes out of this, that your song gets heard by people and gets felt, I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, giddy up. All right, well, how are you feeling? You geared up to do a live version of it?
Yeah, geared up.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. All right, well, I'm going to let you go. We're going to sit back and we're going to enjoy Charlie Clarke, Snowbird.
Trapped inside this cabin for too long. See the sun but bad so fading. Put a lock on the door till I go to sleep. When will my freedom come again? When will my freedom come again? We all remember the days when we were free to walk the earth. Those days are gone. So stop living in the past and start living for today. You can't live in yesterday. We all took our freedom for granted. Never knew it would be taken from us. How much longer will this go on? When will my freedom come again? When will my freedom come again? We all remember the days when we were free to walk this earth. Those days are gone. Stop living in the past and we're living for today. We can't live in yesterday.
Woo! That's awesome, mate. Look, and I'm really, really proud of you for that. That's epic. I mean, not only are you playing it live, but you're also sitting here and introducing yourself to the Campfire community and being a part of that. So I can't thank you enough for that. But I want to talk to you about recording your song. What was it like recording your song?
Well, I had some help from a teacher who was a musician, so that was helpful. And he brought his kid in, but quite difficult. Didn't realise how much work and effort goes into recording one song. So, yeah, spent a long time trying to get this right.
Yeah, beautiful. So roughly how long did it take recording the song?
Probably 2 hours and 15 minutes or something like that.
Brilliant. And whereabouts did you do that at?
Just at school.
Wow. How cool is it being at school?
Good.
Yeah. Well, what a great opportunity, mate. I'm going to, if it's all right with you, I'm going to play it again when we go into the next segment, because very shortly we're going to go into a conversation about flow. And I think this is actually an amazing way in which to talk about flow, because what I'm about to discuss is about feeling that you're doing the right thing, that it's going the right way. Is that how you felt when you're doing your song and you're doing your music?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, awesome. So I'm going to bring in some people, Charlie, if that's okay, because I would like to share your song with them. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Excellent. Thank you very much. G'day, Mel. How are you?
Hey, I'm awesome. Hi, Scott. Hey, Charlie. How you doing?
So, hey, Mel's a good friend of mine, and here's another one coming through. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Scott. Hi, Mel. Haven't met you yet either.
Hey, Lisa. Nice to meet you.
You too.
Brilliant. Hey, so listen, thank you both so much for coming on tonight. Charlie's been here, and we've just introduced Charlie to the Campfire Project, and he's just done So when our next guest gets here, I'm actually going to put it on again. But I would actually, Charlie, if it's all right with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say thank you very much for coming on tonight. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing you and your experiences at the moment, because it's so powerful what you've just done. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Scott.
Beautiful. Hey, mate, is there anything you'd like, if you could give the world one piece of advice, if you could give the entire world one piece of advice, what would that advice be?
You can't, and like it said in the song, you can't hang on to one thing. You gotta move on. You can't think about tomorrow. You gotta focus on what's happening right here, right now.
Charlie Clarke, that is some amazing advice right there, mate. Well done. So, mate, thank you so much for tonight. We're going to play your song. You're going to sit here and listen to it and enjoy it with us.
Thank you.
We are going to go. All right. Enjoy this song.
Inside this cave about too long. Those don't look fine, so believe. Put a lock on my door, ensure I don't escape. When will my freedom come in? When will my freedom come again? Oh, remember the days when we were free to walk this earth. Those days are gone. Stop living in the past and start living for today. You can't live in yesterday. We all took our freedom for granted. Never knew we would be taken from us. How much longer will this go on? When will my freedom come again? No, when will my freedom come again? Oh, remember the days when we were free to walk this earth. Those days are gone. Stop living in the past. Stop living for today. You can't live in
That's amazing. Those lyrics, wow. Charlie, that's incredible. Those lyrics are just so profound.
Thank you.
That's wonderful, Charlie.
Thank you.
That's really amazing.
Brilliant. What a great way to start our big conversation tonight. I'm just so grateful. Charlie, I know you've got to go to bed now. So thank you so much for coming on, Charlie. Thank you so much for being a part of the broadcast. I'm going to make sure we get this cut out for you, and we're going to make sure that you actually have all of the stuff sent over to you, because I think that's super important for this, actually. So I think that's really, really good. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
No worries, son. Hey, have a great night, and I'll see you really soon. All right, ciao, Charlie.
See you.
Bye. Hey, how are we, campers?
Good. Wow, that's amazing. Little dude, how old? 12?
11.
Wow.
11.
Yeah, 11 years old. How awesome is that?
It's incredible. That's so good.
To lead us into flow, hey? You know, he's a young kid that is just, he's having a crack. His parents are supporting him in his music, letting him be him, letting him do him, you know, and at the moment he's had a real tough time with COVID. You know, we just had the conversation then that, you know, he struggled with school, and he's actually gone to school now because of that, because it's just, he had a really, really tough time. And that put pressure on everybody else around him, you know. So I'm so grateful that, you know, people are open to the opportunity to take on something different. Do you know what I mean? Like what a great thing. He recorded that song with his school teacher.
Wow.
How amazing is that? Yeah.
And it's great that he's got an outlet for how he's feeling as well, and just expressing himself. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting? Like, I was really interested to hear his thinking in those lyrics, like our freedom may never come again, or it was something like that. It was like we took our freedom for granted, and our freedom we may never have again. So let's just live for today. And it's like, wow, like imagine having to think like that at 11.
Totally.
That's where kids are at now. That's what this is their life, you know, like. And last night I had a really, really, really tough night with Oscar, and as Mel experienced on Saturday, you know, we've got tough times right now. You know, I'm trying to find my flow. I'm trying to get into what I do, and you know that. This is important right now. This is important right now, you know, because all the kids are feeling it. And if they don't have that place to express themselves, that safety of expression, it stays inside. You know, and I'm pretty sure that becomes dis-ease, yeah, inside the heart. So
absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. So I'm also going to bring in someone else who's going to join. Like my computer skills, my tech skills, how much have they improved? I can bring people in, bring people out, play music behind things. I'm pretty happy with myself at the moment.
Good job.
So, Thomas Graham, how are you, mate?
Scotty Carson, my man, I'm super sorry. My brothers just gave me a deadly cut just for this live stream. So that's why I'm delayed. I'm still setting up the condenser microphone. So just bear with me there, brother.
That's okay. I will mute you because I've got control now. I know what's going on. So, a haircut.
That's one hell of a haircut. Look at that. Look at that haircut.
I'm not allowed a haircut. But hopefully in the near future. So, all right. Now that we've started off with an absolutely brilliant performance by Charlie, and I'm just so grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the recognition that we've just given him, because he has had an outlet, and both Lisa and Mel, you know, the importance of that, of being able to express who you are. you know. And we may as well jump straight into a bit of that, because that will lead into flow anyway. How important is it to express who you are, Mel?
It's something I think a lot of people just don't do enough because they don't know how. With so much of everything that's gone on in our lives, people feel as though they need to say, be, or do someone else. And when you do that, it takes you completely out of alignment with who you are on the inside and who your higher self is. And that can just cause so much conflict and friction, because sometimes, you know, you might find that you speak one way to your work colleagues, speak another way to your family, speak another way to your friends. And that's great, but are you putting on a face for somebody else? Are you being who people want you to be rather than being yourself? And so being able to express who you are, it's so important, because otherwise you're just in a position where I guess you're just not being true to yourself.
Yeah. So I'm sitting in that for a minute, because it's really hard to be true to yourself, to own you.
Which is hilarious, really, because it's natural, isn't it?
But I think, you know, maybe people don't know who they are, and that's the problem. We've been told by, you know, maybe our parents, our siblings, our colleagues, our friends, of who they think we should be, rather than us actually owning who we are and saying, well, this is me. Because I think a lot of people have, you know, can be afraid of judgment from other people. They can be afraid that people won't like them. They can be afraid that, you know, they're not doing enough. But all you have to do is just be you, right? Because everybody else is taken.
I love that. And I know you've got something to put on that, Lisa.
Well, I was just thinking about that, because I think it's very hard for people, some people, to really be true to themselves. I know for myself, there was a lot of years that I filtered a lot of the things that I said. I acted in certain ways. I acted from obligation. You know, I felt a feeling responsibility for people. So there were a lot of things that I did that weren't necessarily feeling good for me, but there were things that I felt like I should do. And for me, my emotional journey was really what freed me from those behaviors. So I used to try to be true to myself. I used to try to be authentic all the time. And yet the way I felt always sort of got in the way. So for me, it was about really looking at what was stopping me from being me. So rather than trying to be me, I sort of stopped doing the things that stopped me from being me. So if I wanted to say something, but I felt frightened, I would go, okay, what's that? That's a fear. Why am I feeling fear in this moment? And I was always able to trace it back to a place where I wasn't feeling good enough, or I wasn't feeling loved, or I wasn't feeling secure. And as soon as I started to meet those needs myself, I actually felt more me. And the more me I became, the more true to myself, the more empowered I felt. Because that is actually, it is our natural state. And because all of us is here in this minute, there's not a part of me over there that I'm disowning because I don't want to feel that. And there's not another part of me over there that I'm disowning because I can't be honest about that. Everything is here with me right now. And that is when and it's almost like an enlightenment in this moment, I think, because all of me is here right now. It is such a powerful state. And it is flow. It's flow.
Yeah, I was about to say that, because it sounds like we're hitting flow when we own ourselves.
Absolutely.
You know, like I know myself that when I had to present myself to Alan for the first time, to own my story, to own me, oh God, that was the hardest thing I've ever done. I wanted to walk out. I didn't want to be there. And presenting to Alan doesn't help. You know what I mean? So I'm going to throw this over to you, Thomas, and just your microphone, brilliant. And owning you, because you're a Koori, right?
Corey, absolutely.
How hard is it to own you?
I think it's a lot harder than common people would, because we have we're seen as not as normal in a sense, and I'm a lot better in a sense because my skin isn't as dark as what most of my brothers and cousins are, and so I don't get as spoken to in certain ways or connotations as much as my cousins, or what I've heard at a distance second hand. And so I guess from a cultural perspective, it's hard because we've still got to see ourselves for who we are, whilst everyone around us is telling us who we're not, or like we don't want you, or the whole stolen generation was to separate family and to I think it was to de-black, or to neutralize the color of Australia, and that's sad. And so for us to restore our confidence in the color of our skin, because of that's who we generally were created to be, like for some people that's hard to just come back to neutral. And it's good to be able to speak to that, because you have to, I think the ownership, I think what Mel was sharing before, and as what Lisa was as well, is the ownership sometimes is a scary part. We want the change and we want everything that comes with it, but the ownership of what's happened in the past that I have to let go of to step into the future, into that new thing, that ownership. And as well, like ownership in the sense of, just because it happened and you had no control or fault in it, that's cool. It's happened and it's happened, but take ownership to let go of that, to be able to go, yeah, out of that lesson or out of that situation, there was a lesson. But I'm going to keep stepping up into something much greater, because like and looking at today's climate, if we in that mindset to create the flow, there's got to be something more, and that kind of thinking and that ownership of who you are, and owning, yeah, it's going to be messy, this what looks to be great, but it's going to be messy, but owning that the better things is worth the mess to get through, or the pain of what you're letting go. So yeah, like yeah, it's hard.
Can I add to that a little bit too, Thomas? Like, I totally agree with the ownership thing. And I'd just like to add to that and say, I feel it's the ownership of the way I feel that makes the difference. Because I used to not understand. People used to say you got to own it. And I'm like, well, what do I have to own? Like, I didn't really understand it. And yet I might have had really painful experiences that weren't my fault, which I wasn't responsible for. But I'm always responsible for the way I feel about that. So I had to own that I felt abused, or I felt insulted, or I felt ashamed, or I felt embarrassed. Because until I was able to own it, I wasn't actually able to integrate it. So this is what we're back on this topic. If I own it, I can integrate it. So all of those things are here with me now. So I am more me than ever. Yeah. And I'm more able to step into the flow.
This is cool. This is really cool, because from what I'm hearing at the moment, because my first question is, what is flow, right? And we're already into it. Sounds like it's owning you so that you can, as Lisa, you and I have discussed many times, stay in your lane, be you, become that you. And I'm just going to share a little story, and it's a little bit sideways in order to get to a bigger point. And at any time it gets uncomfortable, Thomas, or something, I need you to share it. I need you to tell me, right? So I've currently got a man in my life who I adore. He's a beautiful man. He's a Koori. And I met him through him telling me stories about country, teaching me plant life and the food I could eat from the land and how the land was worked and in their indigenous hut, and just it was one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever had with my son.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke to him and I just kept in contact with him because it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
It brought connection, and he's Dutch, indigenous. He's a full mongrel, and it's beautiful, right? But now I saw him in an absolute state of flow, talking about his passion, his love, himself, his life, sharing all parts of that.
Mm-hmm.
But because he's not from that part of country, he's been stood down to do presentations. And I don't understand that for a guy who's in flow. Could you help me with this? And if you're not comfortable talking about it, please tell me, because it's something that I really want to respect and I want to honor. But I'd like to understand.
I'm going to say I'm not fully educated in the sense of the connection with the structural like council, in the sense of doing a lot of acknowledgement of countries or welcome to countries, and that kind of because of what I'm kind of getting at from what you're describing is that he was in that position of trusted eldership where he could go and speak on the land on behalf of the elders, but unfortunately has stepped or been come back to just a presentation kind of, yeah, so not on the land, but back into a more clinical, that was the wrong word to use, kind of, but back into a more professional role. I think
maybe that is his flow.
And
maybe that is his flow. Maybe that's exactly what he needs to be doing now, so that flow can go where flow needs to go.
Exactly.
I agree, because spending time with him is just phenomenal for me. Like just the way in which he's connected to the land, the way in which he talks about the land, and with so much passion and love.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like you feel him talk. It's phenomenal.
Mm.
But do we stop our flow, or do we stop other people's flow by not letting them be them? You know, like, and I've just shared that, and I think it's a much, much bigger conversation for another day.
But can I speak into that just a little bit more?
Please.
Because I think there is the protocol of culture. There will be an eldership decision in that, and the blessing potentially could have been withdrawn. I'm not sure. So there is there is a law or custom that is upheld there, but the passion or the desire of culture or the love of culture, like mine is I'm falling in love with culture. Like that's how I want to see my culture, and I'm still on that journey, right? And because I see it in love, I can look at the things of the past and also the pains in mostly two things out of grace and truth. That grace that I feel sorry for my elders and my ancestors that were to happen, and we pull the truth of them historical events out and speak that. But like it's grace that we get to keep going as well, to carry on their legacy into the future. And so that's love. Like recently, I think about less than 2 weeks ago, an incredible Indigenous elder that was very close to my family passed away, Uncle Bill Smith, or William Smith, here in Newcastle. Very well renowned and very successful, and kind of put Newcastle on the map. And so I feel now that there is an elder passing and a very strong voice in the community passing, that someone needs to carry on the legacy or carry on that flow, because it was an educational flow. It was an educational love for community and in a sense harmonious culture in a whole, not just in between Kuris, but also between like us right now. I believe this is harmonious culture, that this is that I'm using my voice in a positive and uplifting way to positively impact
those around me to create a flow or create a better life for themselves. That to me is in a loving way. I don't have no agenda to come and sit here on this Zoom call, right? But I just want to share the love for my culture and who I am, and to allow that other people to see my flow and what I've done in my flow. And if you guys take on that or are encouraged by that, that's awesome. That's the side product. That's the fruit. And so, like, yeah, harmonious culture, I think for me is the one. And I think too, Scotty, before we when we had the Zoom call dinner thing, I think I mentioned harmonious culture on that Zoom call, and that has been kind of the thing with my car club, and the vision for the car club is creating harmonious culture, and relationships and love and honor are really the foundation of good relationships and a flow of culture and community.
I love that. I love it, because I'd love to see harmonious flow and acceptance throughout all culture. You know, because I feel like flow is an acceptance of self, so therefore you accept others more.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that, Mel?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, being in flow can be something very personal. And it comes down to, when you're talking on a bigger scale, if more people are in flow with themselves, it's going to like definitely affect the community. And that's where it builds, right? And I think also, you know, a lot of the times, like, I was curious about your question before, Scott, with the gentleman that you were speaking about, because, you know, if he's in his flow, he's following his passion, he's doing what he loves to do and being him, then the things that happen externally are just a way for him to find out more of his flow sometimes. You know, sometimes things happen and you might go, oh, look, hang on, that's not what I wanted. But it's about making sure that you reconnect with yourself and you come from that space where you're doing what makes you happy. And you spoke about, you know, emotions, Lisa. You know, your emotions are really your energy in motion, and your emotions guide you so much. And they tell you when things are, you know, when things are good and when things are not so good. And so that, I think of it as your emotional barometer, right? And so that guides you in life, wherever, whatever you're doing. You step into a room and you can tell immediately if there's like something funky's going on. Or you could step into a room and everyone's just having an amazing time. And that is, you know, that energy that people give out based on how they're feeling. And when there's being in that high energy, then it's going to bring everybody up.
Like, I really love that, Mel, because energy is something that I don't think we talk about enough. Energy has the output that we put out is what comes back, and that's what's in our environment. So when we're in flow, we're putting out positive energy. We're putting out a better feeling to pass on to the next person. You know, so seeing, and I'm just talking about this person, this person who's just an amazing individual. When he's been in flow, he's amazing to be around. Just amazing. Like, the energy inside him is just electric. He's currently not. It's a whole new vibration around him. And that doesn't impact just him. It impacts everybody that he comes into contact with, because he's feeling down, so it's put onto somebody else. How important do you feel it is, Lisa, that we find our flow?
Well, I've been on a little bit of personal discovery lately, and I've decided, and it's incredibly challenging for a person in a Western society that is brought up to do things, to just stay in my flow, which means that I'm not doing things, I'm not writing a to-do list, but instead my purpose every day, my main priority, is to make sure that I stay in my flow. So my morning process gets me into flow, and I can feel the vibration in my body, like it rises. And what I've noticed is when I'm in that state, I'm actually prompted to do the next thing and the next thing. And if I like have to go, and I'll give you a really great story actually. We had some young girls move in next door, and they were partying so hard. They were like it was like, I was like, respect. I was like, wow, I used to party hard, but this is just like great effort, right? This is like 3 or 4 nights a week. We're talking from 5 o'clock in the afternoon until at least midday the next day. And we've got, this is an old building, so we've got concrete walls. And yet the noise reverberated in my bedroom, which is on the other side of my apartment, right? Like, this is like, wow, whatever you guys are doing. Like, I'm so like, oh, do I go over and give an invite, or do I actually say something, right? It was like, I was like really impressed. But anyway, I'm like, they're probably young 20s, and I'm thinking we're in lockdown, and I'm thinking I really felt for them, because in the early 20s, I was having an absolute ball. I was partying hard like most of us were. They're not having the same opportunities because there is lockdown, there is masks, there is all these other restrictions on their freedoms. And so I just didn't say anything, but it got a bit tricky when I was having my Zoom calls in the office, which is right next to their wall. And in one day I had some work on, and I thought, I can't even work. It was so noisy, this party. So I got on my bike and I just rode to the nearest beach, and I sat under the trees, and I just got into this most incredible state of being. It was just so beautiful. And when I eventually came back, I thought to myself as I got off the bike, I thought, I might just, if they're still partying, I might just go knock on their door. And as I got up, they were still partying, so I knock, knock, knock. And it was like, you remember that? Like when you were a kid and someone like, you was there and like you were smoking drugs or you're doing something, knock, 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 and you're like, don't tell them we're here. It was like that, right? It just went dead silent. Anyway, I thought it was hilarious. So I came in and I wrote them a note. And because I was in this just incredible feeling state, I'm just like, hey, look, I totally respect your partying efforts. Like, really, I don't want to cramp your style at all. However, the noise is sort of reverberating. Do you think we could do something about the acoustics? You know, maybe you could buy a rug. Let's have a conversation about it. And I slid it under their door. Anyway, I just came back and I've been meditating. So this is me going, I could do work or I could stay in my flow right now because I can't feel any pressing urge to do anything. So I just start meditating. Next thing I hear is bang, bang, bang on the door. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm ready to have a conversation. So I get up to answer the door and there's nobody there. And I look down and there's a box of Messina ice cream, which is like totally boutique ice cream, with this beautiful note saying, your note was so beautiful. Thank you so much. And we are so sorry. And here are our texts, here are our numbers. If we make any noise and it's too much noise, please text us. It was just so beautiful the way you wrote that note. Have some ice cream and we are really sorry. And I thought, now, if I'd addressed that a week earlier, I wouldn't have been in my flow. I wouldn't have been in that state. And it made all the difference to all of us. Like, all of us had this really beautiful experience of connection. Compared that to what most people would do and what I've done in the past, you get pissed off and you're like, rah, 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 they're making too much noise, going there, bang, bang, bang. And you might be pleasant about it, but you're still resentful, right? You're still carrying a resentment around. Then they've got a resentment because they're like, well, you know, come on, we live here too. So there's this resentment and then there's ill feeling, you know, and you never get over that. That's there forever. And I thought, I really learned something that day. I learned how important it was for me to actually come into a flow state, a state of being, because like I knocked on the door and when I slid the note under, I thought, oh, well, I've done my part now. It's done. There's the note. I didn't carry anything away with me when I left that note under their door because I was feeling great. I just went back and did my thing. So I sort of actually almost feel that really getting into a state of feeling good or feeling a flow should be our purpose. Like, if we do that, then everything else sort of just fixes itself and writes itself. If we make that our purpose, because people go, I don't know what to do next. And I go, well, how about you just get into a great state? How about you just get into your flow and then see what happens? So I actually think that it's pretty crucial. I actually think it could potentially be human evolution.
Ooh, I love this. I absolutely love this. And thank you for putting that out there, because two things. I want to give you a big kudos because you're in your flow. You thought with a clear head, went to your heart, what can I do right now? You gave yourself space. You gave yourself something that gives you time to respond better. When you're in a good mind state, when you're in flow, you choose to take a little bit more time to respond and respond with better energy. So I'm really hope that I'm okay to do this right now. 12 months ago, I'm looking at the people that are on the screen that I adore. I'm so grateful. Like, one of the most beautiful conversations I ever had was with Thomas. We sat there and talked about Indigenous opportunities and about life and connection between two men just trying to be the best versions of themselves. 12 months ago, I don't think we could have had this conversation with as much conviction as we're having right now. Each of us has had significant change in our life that's actually given us space to find our own flow. So I'm going to ask each of you to share what you've actually done, what's happened in your life. And this is personal, and I appreciate if you say no right now, okay? But what are the things you've done in your life to help you to find your flow? Thomas?
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad you said me first, because I really want to listen to what the ladies have to say. I think for me, it was reassessing my influence. Was the biggest thing I looked at is what things are draining my influence, how are they draining my influence, positive, negative, and then I looked at how can I change that into a less negative to a more positive influence. And so that really was brought upon with a lot of different decisions, actually, from financial decisions. I made a decision to take ownership of my finances last year in 2020, and I declared bankruptcy in December. And so for me, that was a decision to take ownership on what I was stewarding. I'm a man of faith, and so I love Jesus, and what he gives me every week is what I need to steward correctly. And so to steward correctly, I had to have control, and that meant I had to own the discontrol and the lack of stewarding in a prior lifestyle. And so I had to own the lifestyle of that modern age kind of hyped up small business, luxury, get the cars kind of style back in 2014, to now move into a place that is now in love with finances and in love with budgeting. That was just one decision. There was a relationship with a sister I never knew about that come into my life, and so she was 11 at the stage, and so that was a real manly journey in the sense of I had to become and believe and find out who is this Thomas Graham that's about to meet the last offspring of my father. And so that was I had to step into not only the responsibility of a big brother, but I wanted to, and based off the decision of my finances, making it right, I knew that the second decision of doing this process was 100%. I was doing it right as well. And so why? Because it was creating a flow. I wanted to create a flow of what was right in my life. There was many things leading up to these decisions that caused it to break down or to fall apart. And I had acknowledged where they were and what they were. And so I wanted to make it right. It's a simple decision. And so we continued on. And now I wanted to the latest thing was Car Club, Vision, and also now the new place. I'm back in my own kitchen. I'm sitting in my own kitchen, which is a miracle. And I haven't had a kitchen for a good 4 years, and for a qualified chef, it's hard to hold that back. And so I was grateful for the place that I lived in, because it was a need to get me off the street and not have that homelessness kind of ordeal or couch surfing. And so then COVID, the first wave came into COVID. And then that was the first time I looked at the things that I was doing, my influence. Where was I influencing positively? Where was I influencing not as well as I wanted to? And where was the things that caused me to be less energized at the end of the day? Because that's really the awareness of how much recharge I need is also indicative of the flow. Like if I'm the Nutrigrain that you only put in what you only get out what you put in, right? I think that's a crucial tip and practical tip in this flow aspect. You don't have to, like, the plane only takes off at full power for the length of the runway and potentially 1 to 2 minutes after takeoff until it gets to the cruising altitude, and then it's on autopilot, and then it's cruise. You know, like, we don't have to go fully all in on the flow because you're going to get burnt out. And so, like, that awareness of what I was putting my flow into, and so I stepped back, and then I took into the Car Club, and really started to build relationships, to lean on relationships with those that had the cars, and to really honor those and value those people. And so that started to generally and organically grow with a couple of events, get the cars out and stuff like that. And listening to the guys that have all the money, like, let's be real, they've got the cars and they've got the money. So I'm listening to them, to hearing as to what they want, to try and find a market or a product that I could put on the market that they would be in for. And so it actually turned out that it was a lot more than a product. It was a community that they wanted. It was the feeling of coming together. It was that harmonious culture. But obviously it wasn't labeled like that. I've labeled it like that because that's the vision. But it's gathering together and valuing and honoring the different, the vast range of cars, the vast range of supercars, classic cars, modified cars. Like, it was that really they really wanted. And so obviously the materialistic things like the buildings and the car, the racetrack and stuff will come, that we really want to achieve in the region. But at the core of it, it's the membership, and it's the community that if we generally love and honor one another within this community of people, then we will see a harmonious culture, and we will see a heartbeat back into the city that is a pure and genuine car enthusiast platform that can allow that the rev head to come and you know, put the car on the track, or just come and talk and have a yarn and talk about, are you okay, or to just even find a job. There could be a possibility where they spark up a conversation with these fellas that own businesses, and it could be, you know, like, that's the possibility of the flow. And I want to be a constitute and a vessel to create a flow in my beautiful city. And unfortunately it's nighttime. But if I could turn the camera around, you would see a beautiful view of Newcastle Harbour. And I'm so blessed to wake up every day. And so I'm grateful for the new flow. So ladies, I went a bit over, but there was a lot there. But yeah, it's.
But I want to grab that. Right? There was a lot there, right? But listening to you speak about where you're at in life, where your flow is, where you're 12 months ago, you were hitting bankruptcy, right? You're speaking about it honestly. You're owning that, right? And that's a tough thing to go through. And a lot of people right now through COVID, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's already increasing, actually.
Yeah, but look at you, finding your flow after the monkey's off your back because you've dealt with it, right? And I'm going to leave it at that because I really want to hear, Lisa, what's changed in your, and thank you, Thomas, and thank you for just owning that. I really appreciate that. What's changed in the last 12 months for you that's got you in so much flow?
It's really, that's a really interesting question, because I've always lived in the way where I've kept coming back to flow. And I've always lived in a way where I've really made my emotional well-being a priority and like really paid attention to my emotions. What I found though, because I have this trust, I ended up in a situation that I had a lot of pressure on myself financially. Now, I don't have fear of financial insecurity, which is probably a bad thing, because otherwise I wouldn't have been in a situation for as long as I was, most probably. But what I noticed was I got to the point where it was like the monkey on your back, which is a really good saying. It was like it was a monkey on my back, but I hadn't quite recognized it, because I was like, you know, I can make this work. I'm just going to keep trusting. I'm going to put the action in. I'm going to keep doing what I know, and I'm just going to keep trusting myself and doing what I know I need to do. And yet it wasn't working, and it was even getting harder and harder. And what I didn't realize was how much of an energy suck having to think about that financial pressure was. I didn't realize that, because I think because I did meditate, and because it wasn't really activating me in terms of I didn't have fear around it. It was just there, and it was this thing I always had on my mind that I had to be addressing. I actually had an opportunity to live rent-free with a friend, and in a beautiful apartment. Like, honestly, how blessed am I? I actually upgraded for free. Like, literally, it was just like my view, my desk, just everything. And it was a blessing. It was a blessing for me. And it was something that I never would have thought to do. But when it came, this opportunity, I went, oh, this is grace. This is absolutely grace. And even if I just do this for a little while, this is grace. And what I noticed is when I stepped into that place, I realized how much of my energy and how much of my, I don't know, I can't even describe it, maybe psychic space, maybe creative space, I'm not sure, was taken up by that great big rock that was my financial pressure. And I didn't realize. I think if I'd realized that earlier, maybe I would have done something a long time ago. Or in the same vein, I go, yeah, but this was exactly how it was meant to be. I need, like so many other things have happened, and the flow was perfect, me just ending up here now. But when I sort of relieved myself, and I think this is a thing that I've often done, is I've relieved myself of things that are putting pressure on me. Because it's very hard to step back into yourself when there are other things that are pressure on you. Like, I have a friend at the moment that's going through this stuff, and she's just like, I just want to be happy, but they're putting so much pressure on me. And I'm like, well, step out of it. You don't have to stay in that ring. You don't have to fight them for that. But she wants to keep fighting for something. And I'm sharing with her that if she let go of that fight, because in that fight, she's actually putting pressure on herself. Like, she's feeling all this pressure and she's fighting and she's hanging on to it. Like, when you let go of that, you can actually step back in and feel that sense of, oh, now I can just be me for a while. Now I've got all this space. And that was the feeling I had when I moved. It was like, I've got space. I've got space. I've got time. I've got no pressure to actually create what I want to create and to step fully into my lane without having this pressure of I have to work really hard to get money in. Now it's like I do what I love, and I know that everything is just happening beautifully around me. And I'm inspired all the time. I'm working from inspiration all the time because I can afford to be, because I'm not instead going, oh my God, I've got to make this work. I've got to make something happen. I think that was the biggest thing, a big change for me, and such a blessing.
I love it. I love it. And I can't wait to And seriously, Liz, thank you for owning that. Thank you for sharing that, because it's awesome. Now, I've always wondered when this was going to happen, but I have to duck off quickly live but I can still hear, but I'm just going to sneak to the men's room. I'm really sorry. so Mel, would you like to share how the last 12 months have gone for you? And I'm going to be listening, because this is gorgeous.
Hopefully we can't hear you, Scott.
No, you won't. Trust me. I'm so sad. So thank you.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so the last 12 months have been really tough, but in such a good way. And I think, when I look back on it, there are so many times in my life that I've been in flow, but I wasn't consciously aware of it. And so I used to own a remedial massage clinic in Sydney CBD. And obviously with the lockdowns, the first time that happened, I basically lost my entire business overnight.
Wow.
And then over the last, 18 months, I lost all my staff. And 2 months ago, I actually decided that I was going to close that business. But what I think got me into my flow is actually realizing, what is your passion, and following your passion. And because I'd actually made that decision to close my business, it opened up a space for me to allow myself to work on myself. So I'm a kinesiologist. I do a lot of energy work. I get a lot of energy and spiritual work done as well. And, it's not overnight. This is something I've been doing for 15 years, right? And I think just allowing yourself the space to receive is so important. And I know you were talking just before, Lisa, about, not pushing. And there's so many times in life where, we feel like we have to do more. We have to do what other people want. We're bound by so many things. But when it gets hard and it feels hard, just stop. And just allow yourself the space to, I don't want to say retreat. I don't think that's the right word, but it kind of is. Because it's not that like you're treating yourself again to what you need. And so for me, I think really finding flow is all about following your passion. Because when you do what makes you happy, like what else is there to do? It's that's where it's at. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey over the last 12 months. I'm so grateful for it. So yeah, thank you, Scott, so much for, inviting me to be here tonight to talk about flow.
I could not think of 3 people any more worthy to talk about flow in this current opportunity called COVID. Yes, I said opportunity. Okay. Yep. Sitting here on screen is 4 people who are finding their flow, who are in flow with what they're doing. They've got their passions. They've got their hearts out. They're sharing their love, and the smiles are genuine. We're genuinely happy. In a time when so many other people in this current opportunity, again called COVID, don't know where to turn, don't know which way they've got the fear inside them, and rightly so, because that's what you're being marketed to, and that's what's being given to you, and it's perfectly okay.
I don't think it's perfectly okay.
No, neither do I, but it's perfectly okay for where people are at right now. It really is. Okay, everybody's at the right place at the right time. We've all had to go through bits and pieces to be able to wear our smiles, but it's worth it. That thing in your heart, it's not in your head when you're finding your flow. It's in your heart. You're feeling it. You're feeling that passion. You're living it. Living it, yeah? Like living it. And it just feels so amazing. And I love how the 3 of you have shared that with us tonight. And I've shared your journeys to get to where you are, because it's not easy. It's really not. And you have to take on some big challenges. You have to make some big decisions. But I'll tell you something. There's smiles on this screen right now, and they're genuine. They're heartfelt. Is that not worth having a crack at? Is that not worth having a crack at finding out what your flow is, finding out where you are, finding your purpose? Maybe, just maybe, this is, as Lisa said, the thing that's going to be that change, that be that opportunity in life that we're all going to live. I started out, and I'll be honest, I sat with Mel. She was, what we're going to talk about, she's going to flow. And I went, I don't know if it's the right thing to talk about. I don't know if it's going to help people. I don't know if it's the right thing to talk about right now. Mel, thank you so much for bringing flow up. Because look at this screen. If you're feeling it and you want to learn more, reach out to somebody on this screen because they can help you get there. I know because they all help me. So, on that, we've gone well over an hour. Oh no, we're coming up to an hour. I'm a bit lost tonight because of the way in which we started. But I'm like,
sorry.
What an amazing time this is right now when you have a crack and you have a go at things. But for people to find their flow and not knowing where to start, what would be the one thing you would suggest to somebody where they could start to find their flow, where they could start to find their magic? What would that be? Thomas, you're thinking pretty hard, mate. I'm coming to you.
Gosh, hard and not much time at all to think. I think it would be. I'm gonna dual package this because we've talked about the second one a lot, but I want to talk about awareness and ownership. I think they would be a good place to start. Awareness of who you are and how incredibly important you are in today's climate. You are not a mistake. You are nowhere near a mishap of family planning. You are nowhere near the second thought or an outcome of a one-night stand, although you might be, but there is so much more. There is significance in you coming onto this earth for a time such as this. And so the awareness of that, even in this place that you are right now, with the ownership, allows you to hope for a better tomorrow. And that's all I really did well, not right now because I'm hoping pretty strong and pretty big at the moment. But at the beginning, I just hoped for a better tomorrow. What could I do today that could better my tomorrow? And I know that that's not like it's a cool catchphrase that it's probably in the mainstream somewhere, but I kind of made it up, and I'll take credit if no one's taking credit for it. But but like, although I have no control over tomorrow, I just want to hope and help myself better that for tomorrow, and see when I wake up with a greater spirit and a greater joy, to allow myself into that. And so the vision, the awareness, the ownership allowed me to own the past, but allowed me to be aware of who I was and the ownership of what I can produce and who I can become. And vision was that. And so I'm excited to be in this place right now, in the start of the flow. And I haven't even launched the car club yet. We've had COVID, had times where I wanted to launch it and we've called it launching the launch event, but COVID has come in. But it's allowed the opportunity, and I've called it an opportunity, and you've labeled it too, Scott, an opportunity. Some people might not see it that way, but again, I think there's an awareness to the space to allow us to be better. That I think is the opportunity to be open to the possibility of a better tomorrow. So, I forgot the point that I was going to go back to, but I'm just so grateful that there's flow here, and that at the start of the flow, we can have so much joy in that because we've made the decisions and we believed how powerful we are. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Accepting where you are, and it's just, I love that, mate. Thank you so much for coming here tonight. Oh,
Appreciate you,
I'm
mate.
really, yeah, I appreciate you too. Mel, if you have one thing.
I'm going to hijack it, but it does lead to one thing. So the two things that I think that have really helped me in, last 12 months is meditation and breath work. And both of them bring us back to who we are so that we can actually enjoy the now. And it ties exactly back to Charlie's song at the beginning. And because all we have is like the now. And choose to be happy right now, because that's your choice.
Can you say that again, please?
She probably can't. It's from her heart, right? She was in flow when she said it. Now you're asking her to remember it. Scott!
I know, right?
I got it. And it's all about choosing to be happy in the now, because you can choose how you feel. And all we have is the now.
I love that. And if you want clarification on that and you want to know how that happens, speak to Mel. Get a hold of her. Message her on Facebook. She'll help you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you so much for being part of a great conversation. Thank you for coming up for a topic that, initially I went, wow, how do I do this? And now look at it. Look at the beauty inside it. Lisa.
I think that in these moments when we may feel powerless, they are the very opportunities we have to take back our power. And stepping into who we truly are is actually taking back our power. Loving ourselves enough to actually try to understand why we're feeling like we're feeling. Loving ourselves enough to get rid of some of the things that are pressuring us so that we can bring some relief. Loving ourselves enough to want to know who we truly are. That loving of ourselves and understanding what it is, what the feelings are that are getting in our way from being honest about ourselves. Loving ourselves that much and understanding ourselves that much, that really is our superpower. Because as soon as we understand how to work with those parts of ourselves that are stopping us, we can't be stopped. We cannot be stopped. We have unshakable courage. We have flow, we have power, and we know exactly how we can connect with ourselves and other people, and we bring more love to this planet. And it truly is such a blessing, not only for us, but for the people around us. So if I could highly encourage you to pay attention to your feelings, because when they're stopping you, they're just asking you for attention. And if I could add to what Mel said about breath work, a very powerful one I've been doing, and I'm going to do it, right? So I'm actually going to leave you with something kinesthetic, right, for the end of it. Just for even a couple of minutes. If you go arms up and you're breathing in, you're inhaling, and you're exhaling with your fist down like a lat pull down, right? So do that for 30 seconds, and then you try to tell me that you're not powerful, because you can feel the power of your breath. You can feel your whole body, and your mind stops thinking for a moment, and you feel your heart. 30 seconds.
It's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm ready to go run a K down the harbour.
Honestly, I've been doing this every morning. I've got about
awesome.
Mel, probably doing the same thing. I've been doing Kundalini yoga, and there's possibly about maybe 6 or 8 different breath things to do, and they just switch off your head. You're in your flow, and it is incredible. It's absolutely so powerful.
I love it. Thank you so much.
I've missed this so much as well.
It's beautiful, right? We're doing together, right? We're talking together, and we're communicating. We're coming together, and we're having these conversations, And Lisa, that was awesome. We've got an action to follow our words, which is just brilliant. So tonight, for me, my one bit of advice: if you think you'd like to try something, try it. Get out of your own way. because you're worth it.
Yeah.
You know, so many amazing people on this planet doing amazing things, just having a crack. Go with them, join them. I might like to do that. You know what? Try it. It's the only way you're going to know. And then eventually you're going to find things that are in your life that just fill your heart. You know, I am so grateful for the conversation tonight. I'm leaving here tonight stronger because we had this conversation. Thomas, Lisa, Mel, thank you so much for tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Very
Scott.
welcome, brother.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Campers, look, that's another Thursday night, and I'm so grateful that we're back. I'm so grateful that we're doing these again and filling each other up, because we're all smiling. We're all enjoying each other. You know, next week we're talking about purpose. We don't just talk about little things in the Campfire Project. We talk about the real heart space, the real energy things, the things we need to talk about.
The
If you had
gristle on the steak. The gristle. The
Gristle on the
big meat.
steak.
Yeah, the big fat. Right there, we talk it all and we eat it all.
Yeah.
Sorry to the vegetarians.
100%. Right? This is, you know, in a time of life where there's a massive spotlight on all of our darkness, it's all of our pains coming up, right? We're here. We give us something you need to talk about. We'll get the best people we can together to talk about those things from a heart place so that we all grow together. Thank you so much, campus. Thank you so much for being a part of this community and team tonight. What an amazing conversation. What an amazing place to be. I'm so grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you.
And so lovely to meet the ladies too.
Yeah, you too, Thomas and Mel. Lovely to meet you.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure to be here and to chat with you guys as well.
I'm going to grab that because that is the liquid gold that what is. Thomas, Lisa, and Mel, never met before. You wouldn't know that for love nor money because we're talking about our flow. We're talking about our heart space. We're giving our hearts. We're being ourselves here. Imagine a world where this was the norm.
Where you know people like straight away. Like it's so good, isn't it?
This is our power.
So
we have the power to do that.
Yeah.
It's time to reconnect. It's time to bridge the gap. And that time is now. And it all starts with a smile. I'm going to plug it just why not? The business of smiles, if you're not a part of it, you know, join it. Be a part of it. We're walking this together. We're in the Campfire Project together. Get to know Lisa. Get to know Mel. Get to know Thomas. Anyway, I keep rambling on. I'm not going to. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of a community that challenges everything. And we're here for one another. And I'm just so grateful for that. So take care. We'll see you next week. All right. Ciao, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao.